There apparently was, and I haven't seen much reported on this, but a financial panel, a blue ribbon financial panel, put together to determine the cause of the financial crisis. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, it's 11:42. At 12:15 today, and after the show, we're going to do a random rush, Dorsey, because I'm convinced Rush Limbaugh is going to be talking about this commission's report, which proves that Fannie Mae and giving money to poor black people who didn't deserve it to buy houses is the cause of this financial meltdown. Now, you've heard this talking point in the past, and apparently the Republicans on this commission, the commission started out as being a bipartisan type of thing that everybody was all happy with themselves, and we're really going to get to the root of this. And, of course, in the run-up to the election, a couple of these Republicans were, Wall Street's horrible. They're having, they're posturing. They're posturing for the committee hearings. Guys like Thomas. What's that? Bill Thomas. He's the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. Well, I guess he's a former congressman, I should say, and chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. And, these guys might as well be Republican lawmakers when they're on there because they're basically, but more importantly, they're more incentivized because they're in the Republican, the big Borg that will basically pay this. I mean, I don't know what Bill Thomas is doing right now, but I can assure you that one of the checks he receives every month from sitting on some board of directors or multiple checks that he receives are from the conservative Borg. And apparently when they had the hearings, he was posturing quite a bit about, giving the Wall Streeters a tough time. Well, so the story goes that the commission is supposed to release its report January 15th. It is a bipartisan commission. But I think there are 5 Democrats, because it's been set up by the House. 5 Democrats, 4 Republicans, 1 independent. Phil Angelides, former treasurer of California, or still treasurer of California?
I think former.
You're going to turn on your mic, buddy, when you speak. That's one of the ingredients.
My mic is on.
Well, I cannot hear him. Can you turn him up?
Phil Angelides.
Yeah, okay. That's you got to jiggle that wire. We got to get some new cables soon. Phil Angelides, fairly tough guy. So the Republicans have decided to release their own report instead of a report from the commission. I guess it would be entitled "The Republicans," the 4 whiny ass teeny baby Republicans sitting on this committee are going to release our own report. They released it supposedly, I think, yesterday. A month, 3 weeks before the real report that's going to come out. You notice Republicans do this a lot lately, or foes of, whoever it is. And this is actually pretty amazing. Their report, of course, is going to come out, and it's going to claim that the federal government was involved in pushing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Look, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are sponsored by the government, but they are a completely private enterprise in terms of what they do. All they do is they get some loan guarantees from the U.S. government. Now, it is true that George Bush, when he was pushing his ownership society, remember that meme? Ownership society. Everybody's going to be an owner of something. That means we're going to have a society of owners instead of a society of non-owners. And they encourage Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy mortgages in the secondary mortgage market. That part is a fact. What is not a fact is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were involved in owning their own derivatives, like every other entity out there buying mortgages. Now, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac own a lot more mortgages now because that was part of the bailout. Right now, they own about 60% of the mortgages, I think, in the country. as part of the bailout because they took all the garbage that other banks had, which in and of itself is proof that they were not driving this market. The other lie that they like to push is a focus on the CRA, which is the Community Reinvestment Act, which basically says that banks can no longer redline. You can't say, I'm not going to loan money to black people just because they're black. That's from 1977. From 1977. The number of foreclosures and some prime loans that came from banks who were obligated by the Community Reinvestment Act is something under the 15 to 10%. So they simply aren't big players in this whole escapade. This is all about derivatives. It was all about the leveraging multiple times over of mortgages. It was all about the reselling of mortgages and detaching the actual people who made the loans to the people who bought these things over and over and over and over again. Just kept leveraging and leveraging and leveraging. It's basically like placing a bet with your bookie and then using that bet with your bookie as a means in which to get credit to place another bet. And then some of these loans started to fail. The value of houses didn't go up. The whole thing just tumbled and crashed. But they're going to push that because that's what Rush Limbaugh has told them to push. And I'm being only 1/8 facetious in saying that. And so they're going to write up their mythical, fictional report and put it out there. Now, this is what's also astonishing. Just to give you a sense of just how intellectually corrupt and bankrupt these people are. And just how much they are essentially, let me put this gently, taking a shit on the heads of all their Tea Partiers. I mean, if you're a Tea Partier and you subscribe and you voted for a Republican, understand what a dupe you are. You're a dupe because the way the person who paid for your bus going to whatever rally you went to was the Koch brothers through Americans for Prosperity or some other right-wing billionaire who has duped you into thinking that what you're involved in is some type of like government fiscal responsibility and, fairness for the people and freedom. That's when you first got duped. And then when you voted for a Republican, you got duped again. So God bless you. Aside for you, those of you in the Tea Party movement who are racist and think that, Obama's a Muslim, I know there are some out there who are not. You're just a sucker. I'm not being mean to you. I'm trying to give you a heads up. I'm basically saying to you, heads up. That 2x4, it's about an inch away from your head. And it's moving and not away from you. During a private commission meeting last week, all 4 Republicans voted in favor of banning the phrases. Now, they're creating their own report, their own fictional report. They all voted in favor of banning the phrases. I'm sorry. This is why they're creating their own report. Because during the meetings with the Democrats and the Independent, they all voted and presumably brought up the motion in favor of banning the phrases. Are you ready for this? This is a financial report on the meltdown, a financial meltdown that we had in 2008. The phrases Wall Street from the report. The phrases shadow banking from the report. The words interconnection and deregulation from the report.
What?
This is so incomprehensible. I really don't even know how to express this. How do you write a report about the financial meltdown without the words Wall Street, interconnection, deregulation, and shadow banking. And just so you know, I mean, I think everybody understands what the words Wall Street mean. I mean, can you even talk about this without the words Wall Street? And I'm pretty sure everybody understands how deregulation played into this. Even your right-wing fanatics will talk about the Glass-Steagall Act. Now, of course, they don't make the connection. Hey, wait, Phil Gramm. The Glass-Steagall Act was repealed not by something called Repeal Glass-Steagall. It was repealed by a bill with Phil Gramm's name in it and some other Republican. I can't remember who it was. Now, of course, it was signed by Bill Clinton on the behest of Robert Rubin, just so that you have no doubt that they're all in bed together with this. But shadow banking refers to the system of the financial system in which investors and other non-banks like hedge funds and investment firms provide credit to borrowers. This is not interterrestrial stuff. It simply means that it's a deregulated portion of our of the banking that goes on in this country. Interconnection specifically refers to the links between financial institutions to one another, like derivatives, borrowings, and investments. And these people voted to have these words struck. I don't know that you could get more bizarre or craven if you said we're going to, listen, a and the, but, and any ing or er word. And also, anytime you have a word that starts with the letter B, must be an icon. Brooksley born. She's one of the people theoretically on the Democrat side. Brooksley. I think a number of us had really pulled for bipartisan consensus, she said. But this action by the Republicans indicate they have decided to go their own way. Yeah, it does. That's a strong indication. I certainly felt, and I think the majority of the commission felt, that deleting those phrases would impair the commissioner's ability to give full and fair, understandable report to the American people about the causes of the financial crisis.
Hey, what happened?
It's hard to imagine Wall Street wasn't involved. This is where I need like a ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Will you find that, please, for my 360?
On it.
Yeah, I will say. Bourne said that Republicans wanted to ban two other phrases. Quote, of the same ilk. Okay, no, it wasn't of the same ilk. Of the same ilk. Presumably that would be, like the words money and maybe derivatives. The only words we're going to allow in this is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and black people. That's the only words we want in the entire report. Thomas, the former Ways and Means Republican, displayed populist outrage during the public forums at the excessive compensation paid to top bankers.
Surprise, surprise.
And this same piece says economists from the Federal Reserve, as well as bank regulators first appointed by Republicans, agree that the Community Reinvestment Act played virtually no role in causing the financial crisis.